Welcome to the Week 5 mid-season rundown. I am Complacent Badger.
And I'm a very excited Sierra Kilo.
Yes, we are halfway through the regular season. The regular season is going to be 10 games. Everybody has to play everybody in their division twice.
Yeah.
And we are, again, halfway through that, so we figured we'd see where we're at, and then you probably won't see us do another one like this until end of regular season.
Sounds good, yeah, right before the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll also be able to see the playoff standings, most likely.
Yep, that'll be a nice way to introduce that to folks.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for the rankings, how it is right now, in Group 1, we have the Snarl 2 Smashes leading the pack with a 13. He's not exactly pulling away, but if he loses and the person in second wins, he still doesn't get dropped out.
Right,
so.
that's a strong lead.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen people who win the regular season and not win the playoffs. So
I wonder who he's talking about.
Not bitter at all about it. No.
But or you have people that don't win in the regular season and then get knocked out by the guy who did the best in the regular season, get knocked out in the playoffs first round.
That's true. All of those things could happen.
Yeah. So he's the only undefeated team as well. He's 4 wins, 1 draw, and no losses. But you know, a draw is basically a loss.
Right, because
it's worse than a loss.
It's worse than a loss. You don't even get the pity factor.
Exactly. Now, with that, he's getting 3 points for every win, and then 1 point for the draw, and that's what brings him up to the 13. So he's doing well. Second is This Isn't Hockey. That's I'm a little shocked by that, not because of the coach, not because of the team, a combination of everything. He's a new coach, new team, and he's got a pretty decent record.
Yeah, I mean that's a really big deal. I mean he's in a league with, I mean, you know, everybody's in a league with more experienced teams, more experienced coaches, and to have 3 wins. Now, to be fair, he's got 2 losses up there, but when you get that third win instead of, you know, like in third place, 2 wins, 2 draws, it makes a big difference.
Something I just noticed, though, he also has the second highest team value for teams that started this season.
Right.
So that might have something to do with it. He's able to keep his players playing.
I bet that's going to be a factor. We can take a note of that now, and when we go through individual teams, we can address that.
Yep. In third place, we have the Sunday Speedwalkers. I'm a little shocked by this, that she's not taking first or second, but if you look at it, she's got 2 draws. If those games would have gone wins, she would have been right behind Snarl 2 Smashes.
Right. And you see the other 2 folks in the league with the draw, Masrack and Hustler 1.
Ducky Shoes doing a good job. She's definitely not out for the regular season. Most likely how it's going to go for the playoffs is it's going to take the best 4 from both groups. Now, I don't know if that's 100% because I don't understand the way Cyanide does their seeding, and I have no control over their seeding, but I expect it's the best 4 from both groups that go into the playoffs.
No wild card?
I don't believe there's any wild card. I would have liked to set things up like that, but unfortunately I really don't have any control over the seeding.
A commentator's choice.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely not out. She's in a pretty comfortable position. 4th place in Group 1 is Mal-El's Mashers with 6 points. That's pretty middle of the ground. That's good, especially for first team, first season. You're only 3 points behind second. That's 1 win, and then second loses, and you're right there.
Well, and you look at it, you know, 2nd through 5th, not a lot of separation.
No, the maximum separation is 5 points, but that's, you know, we'll get to that. But the 2nd to 5th, like you were talking about, is all close. It's 2 and 1 or nothing.
Yep.
So Mal-El's Master's doing a good job hanging in there, and as long as he can just consistently win or draw, most likely he's going to get into the playoffs.
I think so.
Yeah, he's a good team, doing good, and that Chaos team just gets better.
They really do, and we saw that this week was good strategy where it was possible.
Yep. On top of the coach getting better itself, the team able to pick up block and all these other abilities.
Right.
The entire team comes that he has. The Beastmen and the Chaos Warriors come standard with the ability to take mutation, strength, and general abilities,
Right.
which is very scary.
And a thing to note is he's got one of the lowest team values.
Especially in his division, he has the lowest team value in his division, which means he's going to get inducements from everybody,
Right.
which is a good thing.
Absolutely correct. Just how you use those.
Mm-hmm. Fifth place is Ryawookin, the Necromantic team tying with Malow's Mashers with the same record and the same, obviously, points. Doing fairly well. Has kind of dropped off, I think, in his playing style, and I think maybe he's kind of testing out the waters with some new moves.
And that's a perfectly good place to do it. Is like once you've got a couple things established, now you're in the middle of the season, you're doing okay, you've got the points, you're tied for fourth, and let's try to expand on the team and try to figure them out a little bit.
Yep, and just he's doing good work, picking up star player points as he can, leveling up, and
Right.
we're gonna start seeing that team starting to pick up speed.
Yep, and I think that's going to be a big difference. The difference in fourth and fifth is the team value. The lower team value team with the same record is automatically ranked above. So
That appears to be true. That as long as that's the tiebreaker.
right, and I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're doing more with less.
And then in sixth place, the humble but required sixth place
Yeah.
is Tasty Action, the only team to not have a win yet, but he does have a draw, which gives him 1 point. It's one of those things where I think he hasn't really figured out how the team works and how he wants it to work
Right.
at the same time.
And that's sometimes what you get when you pick up a new team is you're used to playing a certain style, and it's frustrating when your team won't play the way you want them to, and your team gets frustrated when the coach tries to make them play a different game than they're good at. But we've seen him reach out a lot to other players to try to get some tips on how to, there's a difference between not winning and being frustrated when you don't win, and that's all part of Blood Bowl.
Yep.
But we would expect to see a couple more wins come in the second half.
Yeah, I expect only upwards.
Right. He's still building his team. Team values climbing. 12-10 is pretty good at this point in the season.
Right now that's the lower mid ground for new for the new teams. That's what I'm looking for.
So, and I think that's as soon as we start playing a little bit more, the star players or the MVPs are gonna factor into that.
Yeah.
Plus all those scores and stuff. So that'll be what we look for with him, is just a little more abilities on the team, because those that human team is a little naked when they walk onto the field, I think.
Yeah, they suffer a little bit from not being amazing at anything, but they're not bad at anything either. So you gotta find. It's kind of what we were talking about when the Ryawookin game for week 5,
Right.
where you just gotta find where it's the time to play agility and it's
Right.
the time to play fighting. Like and the human team's really good at always being able to do what you want it to do in a
Right.
situation that calls for it.
And you can split your team with skills to build
Facilitate.
specifically into
Yep.
what you want this player to do. Whether the line guys are going to be smashy, and then your catcher and your thrower are going to lean toward the agility stuff. So just roll with that, and you'll be all right.
Yep. For Division 2, the Corsairs, old Master Moose, taking the lead with 3 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss. Team value is starting to look good.
Right. And even, you look at the Group 1 and Group 2, he's in first place in Group 2 and with 12-20. So his team value isn't huge.
And that just goes to show that it's though obviously the team value difference and the level difference is a hurdle to go over. It can be done with good fundamentals, and good plays.
Right. Understanding of your team,
Mhm.
fundamentals being very strong.
And Master Moose has not had an easy schedule.
No, he hasn't.
And he has done remarkably well with what he has.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, frustrated the shit out of me first 2 games.
And then in second, tied for first, it's the team value thing that makes the
Right.
difference, is the Nordic Kneecappers, old Sierra Kilo right here. Same record, looking at a team value of 1750. Keeping his team value, I guess Ducky Shoes just plummeted. So you were the lowest of all the returning teams, but that War Dancer brings you up one.
Right, and I do like to keep that team value a little low.
Yeah. It's starting to be hard to do because your guys are leveling enough now where you just even if you mix around the star player points and whatnot, you got enough guys that are level 3 that it just
and that's what it is. But I know that I'm going to stay pretty close to where I'm at for a while because now that I've got some level 3 guys, it's going to take them a while to get to level 4.
Yeah, and we've covered it over the games, but it's a team that's tough to play against, and he's doing what he needs to do.
Thanks.
Third place, not far at all. The Crazy Eights, coached by Axon Jackson. The big difference is instead of having a tie, he has an additional loss.
Right. He was in first place coming into week 5.
Yes, right before that he was number 1 and then kind of just dropped. He's only 1 point behind, so you're going to see these standings in Division 2 kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Because he picked up a loss and I picked up a win because he was my opponent. So that's where that flip happened.
Yep.
You're welcome, Master Moose.
Yes. Yeah. And then the big deal is that the Crazy Eights have the highest team value of the entire league, and also obviously in his group.
Right.
That team value doesn't seem to be hurting him, though. He is, kind of the third best record in the league, tied for the third best record in the league. I guess if you break it down for the different types of scores. And he's just punishing people. That's really what he's doing. He's playing good Blood Bowl, scoring touchdowns and taking people out.
And that's your job. So keep trucking, man.
He's really, I think, found his groove finally. It took him all of season 1 and like 2 games of season 2, and he found that groove, and he's moving with it.
Right.
And he's moving fast.
Yeah, he is.
Fourth place, the non-parallel elites, with a same score and same record as the Crazy Eights, and he has the highest team value of the new teams. This is a team that I have enjoyed watching.
Yeah.
He has kind of just, Tethergrain has just found his niche with this team from the get-go. I don't think I've seen any glaring problems with this team.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he understands the fundamentals, he understands the roles, and he's good at managing his risks. He looks like an experienced Blood Bowl player.
And it shows. He's just had a relatively difficult schedule, and he's also in a division that is a lot of good players, like a lot of very experienced players that don't make mistakes. So he's kind of like found his niche in that group.
Yeah, and I'm definitely expect to see his points climb as he gets more wins. When you play that agility team, you're gonna see that climb, and you're gonna see that team value climb as well, because the agility teams tend to get more touchdowns and drive that team value up.
Yeah. Fifth place is the Hills Have the Ball. It's Diego the Dark, looking at 3 points with 1 win, 0 draws, and 4 losses. Lowest team value in the league, and probably thanks to Sierra Kilo.
It's not really my fault. It's what I do.
It's what the team is made to do.
Really, it's like walking into McDonald's and not expecting them to ask, "Would you like fries with that?" But that is difficult, and he's playing a very interesting, a very unique style team.
Probably considered one of the more expert teams. It's not straightforward on how to use it, and it's not necessarily always the most balanced of teams, because a lot of crazy rolls can really shut down your team.
Right, and that's and we've seen it happen the entire time. So now that he has some time and put in this group, in this league, with these opponents and with that team. What's he going to do to improve? And improvements aren't necessarily demonstrated on the win, draw, loss, or on the points or on the team value. It's is he a fun opponent to play? Is he enjoying playing the game? And is he gonna have a little more fun on the pitch and try some crazy stuff? Because we really haven't seen him, but maybe once, try to throw a snotling, and he fumbled it.
He's done it once or twice, and it's never been to much. I think he's so far the last game for week 5 was kind of different,
Right.
where he kind of was like, let's try it.
Yeah.
He's been almost utterly ignoring the Snotlings as a team and focusing on the 5 ogres. And no matter how good players are, your team cannot sustain only 5 players.
Right.
You need to focus on those Snotlings, or not focus on those Snotlings, but bring more focus towards those Snotlings.
And we really did see him start throwing those guys at the opponents in a fairly effective way. I'd like to see that expounded upon.
Yep.
And you're right there on the edge. I think that you never want to lose a player in Blood Bowl. You walk into it and you're like, I don't really want to put that guy at risk. But those Snotlings, and I think that his fear has dropped.
Yeah, well, because if you're going to lose a player, hopefully it's a
right.
Snotling.
And I also think that his previous experience with trying to throw the Snotlings was 2 out of 2 kind of ended in
nothing.
Either a failure or a lack of success. And I think that his experience off of that, he's got to keep trying that move because it's super frustrating to the opponents.
Yeah, take it from someone who's done a lot of throw teammate. It's not going to work 50% of the time.
Right.
But when it does work, and if you set it up properly,
yeah, you
can destroy teams with it.
Right.
Even if it's not about getting touchdowns, you can really get guys down the pitch. You can score touchdowns. There's a lot of there's instances where I've had it where I was like, I didn't run a safety, I made a mistake. Well, let's see what I can do. Grab the nearest dude, toss him down the field, and he's the one guy who can blitz as a safety. And I just happened to roll well, and the dude's down. It's not going to work every time, but when it does, you're going to start falling in love with throw.
Right, and I think that's what he needs to do is you need to keep on that ability. I mean, the teams are built in a certain way for a reason, and that's a option and a tactic to use. Keep doing it. I know it's going to fail a couple times and it's going to be frustrating, but
just do it smart.
When it finally starts working for you, when the roles balance out, man, it's going to change. It's going to change the way you're going to want to play your team.
Yep, and again with it, do it smart. Don't just do it when you got 5 guys surrounding you or whatever, and make sure you're not throwing it into 5 guys. But then also take it for what it's worth. Don't underestimate strong arm. Strong arm is a strength ability that gives you +1 on your throws.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate it. It can be fairly useful, especially if you get an ogre with an agility 3.
Yeah.
You get him a strong arm. He's a contender at throwing those Snotlings. He becomes a pretty horrifying passer.
Right, and if you could get an agility boost on a Snotling as well, to increase that landing roll.
Yep, that team could be really crazy.
Right, you get that 1-2 punch, you're good to go.
For 6th place, the Stalking Dead, coached by GMP. He's got the same record right now and is kind of the 2nd lowest on team value for returning team, or in general. Undead are one of those teams that if you're not using each player to their biggest advantage, similar to a human team, but a little bit more focused on each player than a human team.
They come in with a little more tooled.
It's a tough team, especially against other teams coming back for another season. So I can understand being a little bit low, new coach, but he's going upwards.
You're right, and he's learning his team. He's getting better, and it's a slow starter team. Once it'll start building up speed, coming real quick.
I think picking up another mummy in a few games and getting some star player points because he's got the Blodge ghouls. I think if he gets a white or 2 to get tackle. That would be really powerful. That's the next pickup that I would do for those whites is tackle, because he could really shut down the dodge of the elites that are I think they have a couple player. Actually, I don't know if the high elves start with dodge on anybody. Either way, he's going to probably pick up dodge. Either way,
you can expect that.
Corsairs have dodge a lot,
Right.
and you got a lot of people in your division that have dodge, and I think even you have at least one dodge character, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think tackle might be a good move for cutting those routes on the wings, and then also taking out those runners.
Yeah, and that's all about how are you going to be able to build your team coming up, and that's a great opportunity, and that's kind of what makes Blood Bowl fun. Is you revel in the success, and you pretty much just have to ignore the failures.
Yep. And then I think zombies get only general available to them. If you get a zombie that catches a couple MVPs, get kick.
Yeah.
Zombies are pretty decent with kick. I mean, they don't do much else.
You're 100% right. And knowing where that ball is going to land, or having a much better idea where that ball is going to land.
And kind of controlling it. If somebody, makes a poor choice of putting players back there, you can really punish them with a good kick.
Yeah, you really get to choose what corner of the pitch instead of just hoping it lands on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I got a guy with kick, and I can put it pretty much where I want.
Yeah, a zombie with kick would not be the worst thing. I think that's the first zombie getting kick would be good, and then maybe the rest of them get blocked.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But yeah, we've also been looking at a couple of different stats, and some interesting things came up for the Group 1 and Group 2. The number of TDs, so touchdowns, that every coach has gotten this season almost reflects directly to their win-loss ratio.
Right.
And, there was a resounding, well, duh, coming out. But sometimes you lose the focus of what Blood Bowl is. It's scoring touchdowns.
Right. I mean, and that's really what it comes down to, is the people who have the most touchdowns are the highest, and have the most wins. And it's not just like draws and losses, so we can kind of ignore that. But touchdowns are directly correlated to wins.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop focusing on getting touchdowns, or you can't figure out a way to get a touchdown, that's where everything happens. That's where the wheels come off the wagon if you can't make those touchdowns.
Yeah, so for Group 1, the Snarl 2 Smashes have 8 touchdowns this season. So that's pretty significant. You're talking about 5 games, you're averaging just under 2 touchdowns a game.
Right.
That means he's almost scoring every half, probably.
Which is what, as a Smash team, you're hoping
that is,
to do.
you want to end every game with 2 or more touchdowns. 2 is your goal, because you want 8 turns of just pushing.
Right.
And he is doing an almost flawless job of that.
Right.
As we've seen, he's kind of wishy-washy, I think, for a returning coach, for how well he plays.
Right.
But he kind of always his average bounces back to that medium where he's pretty good.
Right. And he takes advantage if we see games where he's got maybe 3 touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
at the end, which definitely helps his overall average. But average is average, and you go about 2.
For This Isn't Hockey, they actually have 3 touchdowns. This is the only one of the statistics that we've shown for TDs that's a little different.
Yeah. Let's skip over it, and we'll go through the other ones, and we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's
so
interesting.
3rd place, which is not far from 2nd place, is Sunday Speedwalkers with 8.
Right.
So tying the Snarl 2 Smashes in the number of touchdowns, which, being that you're an elf player, you should never have the same as orcs on touchdowns. You should be scoring more.
Right.
And this can be attributed a little bit to her trying to probably play more of an aggressive block game than a lot of Wood Elves teams that you would normally see.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with the first couple games of I think her first game was outstanding. I think she kind of fell off of it 2nd and 3rd game, but and then came back.
Yeah, her
4th and 5th
were really strong.
Were really strong strategy-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we're going to see those go back up, and as her strategy tightens up, we're going to see those 2 or 3 turn touchdowns come back.
Mm-hmm. For 4th place, Mallow Smashers have 4 touchdowns, so you can kind of see where it's starting to drop off.
Right.
It's like, okay, You're in fourth now because you're not scoring TDs. You are not averaging a touchdown a game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's just bad luck or not having avenues to score touchdowns or not creating avenues for touchdowns, that's up for interpretation. We're just giving the statistics at this point. We're not telling you, well, you sack. No, we're just saying touchdowns usually equal wins.
Right. And, you know, less experienced team, less experienced coach, we can kind of see that, but this is a direct reflection of the ability of people to produce touchdowns.
Yeah, produce results of how you win games.
Yep.
Fifth place Necro, the Rio Woken, with 4 touchdowns as well.
Right.
So you're looking at 2 teams that have the same win-loss ratio, relatively close team value, and the same amount of touchdowns.
Right.
So you're seeing kind of a common trend that, all right, the new guys aren't averaging a touchdown every game.
Yeah.
And that needs to be your main goal right now is touchdowns, because touchdowns give the most star player points. You're talking about 3 star player points per touchdowns. If you can focus on that and not just focus on the bash,
Right.
you can kind of get 1 or 2 players really high on those star player points, and that's where it starts opening up abilities for you to score faster. So then when you're able to score faster, you can start focusing on the hit a little bit more.
Yep. Good point.
And then 6th is Tasty Action with 3 touchdowns. So we're seeing a quick trend that generally about 80% of the time, the lower amount of touchdowns you have, the less wins you have.
So the only question is, how is 6th and 2nd place both with 3 touchdowns?
And I think the big deal comes from that is twofold. One, that the Amazon team comes standard with dodge across the board. So that means they are more resilient to mistakes because dodge is going to make up for a lot of the, if they're kind of bunched up into a fight that they don't need to be, every once in a while that dodge, in fact, probably more often than not, that dodge is going to save them.
Yeah.
Especially a couple of characters having block as well makes it 1 out of 6 chance of that character actually ever going down unless tackle's involved. And then, personal opinion, I think This Is Hockey's had a relatively easier season so far than Tasty Action. I think Tasty Action has had to play a lot of returning teams, whereas This Isn't Hockey has only played the Snarl 2 Smashes for returning teams. And obviously that's gonna flip. The rest of the season, This Isn't Hockey is going to have an uphill battle, while Tasty Action is going to start to kind of wind down a little bit. His season's going to kind of downward slope more so than it is now.
Experience and team increases. The difficulty of the season.
The downside to it is that Tasty Action is going to have to play teams that are new to the season that have had more time.
Right.
But at the same time, so is he.
Yeah.
He's also had more time, whereas in This Isn't Hockey was playing basically bare bones against bare bones.
True.
So call it what you will, but I think the difference for This Isn't Hockey is because I think the dodge is a huge part of it. That team is just more capable of dealing with mistakes.
Right.
For Group 2, we see that the Corsairs are in first, but they have 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They are averaging 2 touchdowns a game.
That's a lot.
That's really good. It's not the goal. The goal for elf teams is usually about 3.
Right.
But with how rough a season he's had, and we'll go into that later.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Right, because there have been a couple games where he's walking on the field with a limp.
Yeah,
so.
And still able to maintain that average, whether or not it's all in one game or not. He's still able to keep that 2 average, which is good. Second place, the Nordic Kneecappers with 8 touchdowns. So we're seeing that trend of just under 2 per game of returning coaches.
Right.
And that's important. That's showing that kind of everybody, for the most part, is at that same even plane of skill versus what they're capable of doing against their opponents.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll see that continue, where everybody's kind of the same skill level.
Yeah, and it's anytime that I don't get a touchdown, it's because my opponent did a really good job of frustrating me, and that's the difference, is because I can only play so hard. It's at a certain point, it's whether my opponents kind of roll over and make it easy for me, and I'll take that touchdown, or if they're going to make it difficult for me. And there are very, very, very few occasions where I have the capability of doing 2 touchdowns in one half. So
Yeah.
anytime that I get frustrated, I don't think that I'm ever going to be able to get that 2 per game average because I don't think that I can make up that gap. But you know, we saw the Smashes do it once. Maybe there's a possibility, but I think that is about my average. It's 1.7, 1.8.
Yeah. For third place, we have the Crazy Eights with 5 touchdowns. So looking at kind of like the middle ground for the entire league right now. But I think a lot of his success comes from just a general lack of mistakes and just laying out a lot of punishment as well.
Yeah. When at the same time, if his opponents aren't scoring against him, then then he doesn't have to score, but 1 or 2 per game.
And it's one of those things that I think if he focused a little bit more on the score and opening up avenues for the score, he maybe wouldn't have 2 losses. Maybe closer to a draw and a loss, or maybe a win and a loss.
Yep, and I think that you're 100% right, where there were a couple times, especially early in the season, where he misprioritized, and
that bloodthirster.
We've addressed that, and he's addressed it.
And he's done swimmingly and run with it, and I think that's the uphill climb of his team right now, is because he's addressed his issues correctly.
Right, and I know for sure, had I not gotten the penetrations I had on his bloodthirster, first turn, first half, first turn, second half, that would have been a totally different game.
Yeah.
So that was more luck than anything, because I think that.
And that's the power of Claw.
It's the power of Claw.
Then we have the non-Imperial Elites in 4th with 5 touchdowns as well. So we're seeing that 2 teams that have the same record also have the same amount of TDs.
Right.
So we can draw parallels to that. Non-Imperial Elites are showing that it is possible to score an average of 1 touchdown per game and keep a team moving and all that. So it can happen.
Right.
And it's only because he doesn't have big bash dudes. He's straight up L. He's high L's. He's just playing very fundamental football Blood Bowl. He's playing very fundamental Blood Bowl and putting his guys where they need to be on offense and defense.
Yep. And once he gets a little more comfortable with the more intricate aspects, we saw a lot of ineffective dodging in the beginning, kind of useless going for it that were leading to ending of turns. I think that now that he's worked that out of his system, we're going to see that touchdown per
I think it's only going to go up his average. Yep. And then together, the Hills have the ball and the Stalking Dead. The Hills have the ball having 3 touchdowns and the Stalking Dead having 4. But the only reason that it's 5th and 6th, the opposite, is because of team value right now. Otherwise, it just because of records, it could have slipped the other way. So we can assume that 4 and 3 are fairly interchangeable right now.
Right. And I'm with that. And both. So not only is it kind of consistent through the groups, but if you put the 2 groups together over top of each other, it's pretty close, pretty similar.
Yeah, the Group 2 kind of scoring a little bit more than Group 1.
Right.
And to me, that's just, I think Group 2 just has more teeth to it.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about a lot more people who are willing to kind of engage and move in there and kind of take those necessary risks, where I think Group 1 doesn't have that kill taste yet. You see a lot of sedentary games in Group 1.
Right, and I think that a lot of that in Group 1 has, you see that with the number of players that are starting the second half. I think that you're seeing a higher number of players the second half, which will increase the difficulty of the touchdowns. In Group 2 we see teams that are fairly well eviscerated by the end of the first half.
If not one team, then both teams drop down to about 8 or 7 players.
Right, and that's where those lanes open up and the mistakes really show through.
Yeah, and I think I agree. That's probably the huge difference, is that there is a obvious pushing off the pitch and injuries and KOs that are making people not come back the second half.
Yeah.
Moving to talking about the individual teams and kind of the trials and tribulations that they've gone through so far.
Yeah.
So, starting with the Snarl 2 smashes, he's got a lot of carryover from the last season of injuries. As a whole, the Snarl 2 smashes have been doing pretty well with conserving their players. Well, may it be just because of armor value or good plays. He has the least received of KOs, injuries, and deaths out of anybody in the league. He's sustained 6 KOs, 2 injuries, and 0 deaths, which is really showing keeping his team there.
Right. And that's not leaving anybody isolated. It has a lot to do with armor value. You see that 9 kind of across the board. Helps with that quite a bit. But he's putting other players down, and that helps keep him up. Yeah.
His team is highest star player point is 59 with Gorfak, the Blitzer, tackle, mighty blow, guard, and strip ball. That is a pretty strong character.
Oh, absolutely. That strip ball and tackle together are great for elf breaking.
Yep.
Mighty blow is always fun, and that guard makes anybody around him a lot stronger.
It makes it really interesting because if he goes in there for the blitz and doesn't manage something or manages something but the ball doesn't get loose, everybody else that comes in kind of gets that assist from that guard. So he not only is tough with being himself, but makes everybody a lot tougher around him.
I like it. And that's he's got a good build, and he's just going to keep going.
Yep, and then he's got 2 4s. He's actually got another 5 that I just saw. Moglop, of course, his star blitzer.
Yep.
Sure hands, mighty blow, +1 agility, and pass block.
And he just got a five-star player points for MVP, right?
No, I believe that was Gorfak that got that last 5.
Oh, okay.
Or
okay.
Maybe it was Morgfang. I don't know. It was somebody.
Yeah. Well, one of the either way, two level 5 players. Pretty awesome.
No, his last name was Tucknail. I remember the name, and he gave him Mighty Blow, which is pretty powerful for a blitzer.
I like it. Scary team.
Tackle might have been good just because but maybe I haven't looked at his calendar, so maybe he's done playing elves for the most part. He's done playing the dodgy teams, perhaps. So maybe he was like, now it's time to put some hurt.
Well, I like it. I'm a big fan of throwing the hurt.
Rolling with 5 rerolls, 2 cheerleaders, 2 Sisycosis, apothecary, keeping it pretty lean and getting that 5 rerolls just in case anything goes bad, and maybe even for anticipation of halflings. I mean,
true.
Halflings can, he will never be less than 2 rerolls ever anyhow.
I like it. Well, let's just real quick. The last thing that I really think that we need to address is that strength 5 black orc.
Oh,
because fuck that guy.
Be careful, Urgroth Brewis Throat is huge. Strength 5 character, had to roll boxcars to get it, went ahead and just gave him the +1 strength. Usually you don't see Strength 5 unless it's a character that's with Loner. There's a couple exceptions out there, but this guy doesn't have a lot of the downside to those players.
Good movement allowance, awesome strength, and that high armor value, and he doesn't have any of those, goofy things where he's not. You have to make a roll to have him play that turn.
Yep, and I think a lot of people may not be noticing him because when he gets on the line, he starts putting things down that can create those waterfalls and open up that midfield.
Right. All right.
Moving on, we have the Sunday Speedwalkers. Sunday Speedwalkers had a pretty back and forth season so far.
Yeah.
Couple mistakes resulting in empty roster slots.
Right, and that's the hardest one to swallow. And we addressed it when we addressed it, but that was unfortunately self-inflicted. So nobody got the satisfaction.
Yep.
Which is what really the only reason that I kill is for the satisfaction.
Well, Snarl 2 Smash has got the star player points.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily count as satisfaction.
Her highest level player and arguably best player is Chesda with 50 star player points. Level 4, got that +1 agility, accurate, and leader. Leader, an interesting choice. Has 4 rerolls. Leader, as long as Chesda remains on the pitch, brings it up to 5 rerolls. So looking very similar to the Snarl 2 Smashes.
Agility 5.
Yep. And she's got quite a bit of treasury left. I think she's saving up for that War Dancer, though.
Yep, I would be as well.
Because that War Dancer is, I think, 100 and those are both normal abilities for her, I believe. So 130. I think those are 130,000 apiece. So most likely next game she won't have the War Dancer going into week 6, but most likely week 7, if that's what her plan is, she will have a War Dancer.
Deal.
Still not picking up any cheerleaders or assistant coaches, so that means she's not going to win a lot of kickoff events unless it's against newer players that don't have any yet as well.
Right.
That Fame's going to help with that as well, though. She's got 8 fan factors.
Yeah, she does.
Oh,
fan favorite.
Oh, and I did not mention her sustained boo-boos. She's had 10 KOs sustained, 8 injuries sustained, and 1 death.
Yep.
So, pretty big difference in the injury department, but that comes with the territory of armor value 7.
Right.
From the Snarl 2 smashes, and then a little over on the KOs. So
I think so. And that was, I think, attributable to the aggressive play that she had in the first couple games.
She's been playing a little bit more on the line and against people,
right.
And I think she's slowly moving away from that.
Right, and in 4 and 5, we've seen a much better zone style, and she's not afraid to get in there and hit, but she's not putting herself out there to be hit as often. Good change.
Yeah. The tasty action. So for tasty action, we're looking at 7 KOs sustained, 9 injuries sustained, and 1 death sustained. So compared to like the Sunday Speedwalkers, less KOs, 1 more injury, same amount of deaths. So very comparable to the Sunday Speedwalkers,
right.
And just over on KOs against if compared to the Snarl 2 smashes, and much higher on injuries.
Right.
So we're seeing no double digits, but his best player's got 2. He's got his Ogre that picked up guard. That's Blue Cheese Thunder.
Great choice for somebody sitting on the line all the time.
Yes, making your line a lot more powerful and hard to put down, so that strength bonus is going to stay there.
Right.
Lord of the Onion Rings, his catcher, picked up Block to increase that blodge. It's going to increase the survivability of that catcher, but not his ability to catch.
Right.
So not facilitating his specialization, but facilitating keeping him on his feet.
Right, and I think that that's a good way to go. The longer that guy can stay up, especially if you give him the ball, he needs to have a little more protection. So I'd like to see a bit of focus on getting that character in particular the ball and some scores, because you have a 0-star player point or an 11-star player point. Let's start focusing on one side more than the other, but not to the exclusionary side.
If he's open, he's open.
Right. You go for whoever's your best option, but if you can make your best option, if you can create a situation, that's what I do.
Yep. Looking at his team roster, he has 3 open spots, so that means he's got 13 players. That's 2 in reserve. And he's got all of his blitzers. He's got, I think you can only have, can you get 4 catchers?
I don't think so.
I think maybe you can only get 2 catchers. I think it's 4 blitzers, 2 catchers, 2 throwers. That sounds,
it doesn't make it. I don't think
that'd be a lot of catchers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd want 4 catchers, but either way, looks like the only thing he can fill out is the rest of his roster with is another thrower and then linemen's, and I don't think he needs a second thrower, to be perfectly honest. I think 1 will be fine.
Because if your thrower's in danger, then you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
And I don't honestly know if he needs many more players. Maybe
you can do 4 catchers.
You can do 4 catchers. I don't know that I would. No. I think maybe 3.
Yeah, if you want to be crazy.
Maybe if you have a bunch of linemen that are pretty powerful and can hold the line and whatnot.
I can't see sacrificing that much strength on the pitch.
Yeah, probably true. Yeah, for team composition, maybe need 1 more lineman. Right now he's got 2 in reserve, and majority armor value 8.
Right.
I think maybe having 3 in reserve will make it to where he's probably never less than 11 unless crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
And those linemen are only 50.
Yeah, but adding to the team value, and then maybe getting some cheerleaders or assistant coaches, maybe getting a re-roll. I think that might be a better use of my money right away.
That's probably more important right now. Those re-rolls are going to cost him $100,000
because he's already got more players than all the new teams. Well, most of the new teams.
And that's one of the benefits of the humans. They're relatively cheap teams, so you can really get a lot of them out there.
Yeah, well, it's because they don't come with much to start with, so you gotta build them up on yourself.
And anything they do come with usually is a trade-off for something else that they lack.
Right.
But overall, I think this team is only going to go up. He does have two players that are like right there. They probably caught an MVP or. Most likely caught MVPs, and they're right there. So we're going to start seeing a lot more twos popping on this team, probably next week.
And it's perfect because he's got two guys in reserve and he's got two guys with stat deficiencies. So that's perfect. Leave those guys there and
for now, and then once you kind of fill out everything that you need, maybe cut them for normal linemen because they don't have any star player points yet, so there's not really a lot invested in them.
Right, but as a backup player, as a second
good
stringer,
for right now.
Yep, I like it.
Yep. So moving to Rhea Wook and the Necromantic team. Going to be going into the next game with one zombie missing, so boo-hoo. Not really that big of a deal.
So he's still rolling.
He's got the same number of players as Stacey Action, so he's got 13, but he's going into the next game with 12, so he'll have one in the reserve.
Right.
And for him, for sustained, he has 18 KOs sustained.
Good Lord.
10 injuries sustained and 1 death. Yeah, man, you're getting hit a lot, and a lot of it's connecting. I probably want to start choosing your battles a little bit more carefully. Keep in mind, those sustained, it's not just people hitting you. It's also things that maybe you made a mistake on attacker downs, both downs, and things like that. It's just sustained, not given.
Right.
So that could have a lot to do with it making mistakes and whatnot. His two best, he's got a ghoul, Graw with Blodge, and he has Haru with Block, which I think is a pretty good choice for a werewolf.
I don't see why you wouldn't have gone with that, based on the abilities that you could get.
My necromantic team, I used my werewolves as my runners because of that movement value 8. So I didn't pick up Block initially with it. I think I did Sure Hands first.
Right.
And that's what are they? Are they for the necromantic? The lycanthropes, the necromantic werewolves. Yeah, they have general and agility available. So they're actually built kind of like receivers because they have those agilities and stuff.
Right.
So I use them as runners just because they're so fast. I was averaging, once I got my werewolves to about level 3, I was averaging about 4 touchdowns a game.
That's silly.
Yeah, and they're good, but they're also good with claw. The big scary part about them is that as runners, is that claw does make them pretty, and the frenzy makes it to where they can really open up lanes.
Right, and at the same time, even off the ball, they can be targets if you're depending on who you're playing.
Yeah, for the most part, he's got a pretty straightforward team. The flesh golems, he's only allowed to have 2 of those. He has both of those. Werewolves, he's only allowed to have 2 of those, has 2 of those. Ghouls and whites, necromantics are only allowed to have 2. I think 2 of every special, everything else is 10 or 16 for the zombies. So he's got a full roster of everything that he's able to get extra. And I probably wouldn't conscript any zombies. I would just hope for kills. And then they turn into zombies with the necromancer instead of the apothecary there.
I like it.
So most likely, he's at 100,000 right now. So don't know why he hasn't invested in cheerleaders and assistant coaches yet. Maybe he doesn't want his team value to raise, and he's looking for inducements. Maybe even picking up. He can't pick up a reroll yet. Maybe that's what he's saving for. His rerolls, because he waited.
Yeah.
They cost him 140,000 apiece.
That's expensive. But to be fair, you get a cheerleader and assistant coach, you can win a reroll.
Yeah. I honestly probably. Instead of waiting for that 140,000 because it's so steep, and this is a reason why I buy all my rerolls for my career in my starting team, because I do not want to pay double for them. There's a couple exceptions for teams like humans that only pay 100,000.
Right.
But yeah, that 140,000 is tough. It's like 4 or 5 games income. But yeah, those cheerleaders, assistant coaches, I think if you picked up 2 of each right now, bring up your team value by 40, so you'd be up at 1250. that wouldn't be terrible, and you'd have a pretty good advantage of getting brilliant coaching and cheerleaders
Right,
to get the rerolls.
and I don't think that would affect inducements against you.
40 is not going to make the big difference unless somebody just happens to have like 330 team value difference. So then you're like, oh, I have 10 more I would have gotten. But then you can just throw, if you're really worried about it, you can just throw some money at it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. So that would be our strategy moving forward. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, just pick up 2 cheerleaders, 2 assistant coaches, and then save up for a 4th reroll.
Deal.
We're good for that, right?
Yep.
All right. Moving on. This isn't hockey. Them Amazons, them ladies.
Yep.
Looking pretty good. For them, their damage, somewhere, there it is, 13 KOs sustained, 5 injuries sustained, and no deaths. So, pretty, compared to all the other stats that you guys haven't seen, that's pretty middle ground, maybe high middle ground for KO sustained.
Right.
But for injuries sustained, that's like way down. So getting lucky on those injury rolls.
Well, and then, let's look at that and see that 2 out of the 5 led to a...
Oh yeah, they're like substantial injuries that he never gets badly hurt. But
Right.
Best players, most likely going to be probably caught some MVPs and then maybe 1 touchdown.
Right.
The line woman with Blodge, which is a really good pick for a line woman. That's a tough one to put down. But probably closer to best players are going to be the throwers or the catchers. Got a bunch of level 2s, 4 level 2s. That's probably the highest of the new team so far.
Right.
This catcher right here, picking up a broken neck, but rolled boxcars and gave the +1 strength.
That's so unfortunate that...
Like, had she not had a broken neck, that +1 strength would have been probably money.
You're right.
But at the same time, with +1 strength, that also gives you the ability to take any skill, because it's doubles, no matter what.
Right.
So you could pick up anything from passing and whatnot. So there could have been a lot of choices. If he nurses the character and kind of plays it as a running game and gets touchdowns, might be able to pick up like a +1 agility and really turn that character into something.
Right, but here's the problem, that I see that as relegating that catcher into a line character almost. Mm-hmm. Because
you're using 1 level up just to cancel out an injury.
Right. Just don't worry about the agility anymore. Just use the strength. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucks that you can only get, probably 2 catchers, and the cost of the catcher is pretty expensive.
Yeah, and that's the big deal, is that's already level 2 and it's 120,000. That's a really
Well, the problem is that you put a high value stat on an injured player. So.
Yeah, it almost doubles her value.
Right, and that makes it tough. And you can only have 2 catchers, so that's unfortunate. So
my initial vote is to cut the player once you have enough to replace. You're only 10,000 away from replacing.
Right.
If you replace, then you would just be again at 12. If you want to wait, that's fine. But every game that you go into with this character, that's probably gonna be a character that's bogging down your team value.
Because you can't. It's with agility 2. It's no longer a catcher, even with catch. You know what I mean?
If you run it as a runner, it's a 4+ with a free reroll for accurate or whatnot. But if you're aiming at 4+, that's tough.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't give that player the ball if I had any option not to.
Mm-hmm. However, high kick, just handing it to him, no roll for that.
That's fair.
That'd be pretty good.
Yep, and then just blitz up the middle with strength 4, no big deal.
Plus, this thrower has accurate, so that means that all the pass rolls are going to be increased by 1.
Right.
So, makes it more likely to, and even to the other catcher. I mean, it's more likely to get in there.
Your player number 2 is the primary catcher.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't deal with using player number 1 because I'm not going to deal with names. And they're women, so I didn't really realize they had names in the first place. But that's the deal, is that's no longer a catcher with an agility 2, but you do have a strength 4 player, which is outstanding. Very expensive, strength 4 player,
Mm-hmm.
but that can turn the tide when everybody's 3. Strength 4 is a big deal.
And then the last one that's level 2, a blitzer with guard. Interesting choice. I don't know if I would have given guard as my first choice for a blitzer. But with the lack of strength throughout the team, guard could, if you kind of re-facilitate this character as kind of a line, or
Right.
kind of always be cognizant of where it's at, guard can be pretty powerful.
Right, or even an offline guard, where you're one row back, still giving the stat but not being on.
You have to be adjacent to not only the person that you're helping, but against the person. So you still need to be adjacent to the player that's throwing the block, or
yeah.
So it won't work back one.
Right.
But otherwise, it could work out. Interesting choices on skills. We'll see how that moves on. I did pick up cheerleader.
I like it.
Now for the Malau's Mashes.
Mashes.
Yeah, Chaos team. Loving Chaos. The Malau's Mashers have sustained 13 KOs, 5 injuries, and 2 deaths.
Good lord.
Yeah, they're getting kind of beat up on, but that's what happens when you're playing a BD team and you don't have block. You get put down just as much.
Yeah, you do.
The team is a player down from a full roster. Mostly due to the deaths.
Mostly.
And then kind of coupled with that, not getting a lot of wins, so his treasury is not growing as fast as he'd like.
Right. And just proof that you need to protect your players, because at a certain point it becomes a monetary issue.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of this game, is the long game of making sure that your players stay healthy. 4 level 2s, just like the...
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. Picking up Mighty Blow on that Chaos Warrior, I wouldn't have chosen that first. I think we've talking about.
Right.
I would have gone with block.
Yep.
But doesn't seem to have increased his star player points too terribly since he got it.
Right.
Then block on the Chaos Warrior, it's an excellent choice. Block on the Beastman, excellent choice. And block on the Beastman, excellent choice. These are pretty fundamental skills that are.
I mean, in Blood Bowl 2, I really think that when you upgrade to level 2, it's going to be like,
do you want
block? No. All right, here's the other things.
Here's some other things. Are you sure you don't want block? Because that's fucking good.
Because that's kind of
Yeah. Not much else to say.
No, that's it.
I think now that he's got block, it's gonna be much tougher to get touchdowns against him and stop him from getting touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I expect him to get some more wins.
Yeah, and he's close to getting block on the rest of his guys too.
Yeah, he's got a lot of characters that are up there. This Chaos Warrior's not too terribly close, but this one is. He can get 1 touchdown. Agility 3, across the board.
Just saying.
Any of these guys can be receivers, so do not be afraid to get touchdowns with him, especially if it's the difference between getting a level 2 or not.
Yeah.
Picking up block on that Chaos Warrior can be a real game changer. This one is a pass away from it. This one's a touchdown away from everybody's right on that cut, which shows that either A, he's got good team management and is spreading the love, or B, is just going, oh my fucking god, you do something, and then it works.
Yeah, with the amount of people that he's had get hurt or knocked down, I think the second option is probably the one that's most true, but
which potentially means you could have an entire team of level 2s,
which is great. I mean, that's probably scarier than having
3 2s, and then all 1s.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Nordic Knickers, eh? So, this fucking douchebag.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Nordic Kneecappers taken 11 KOs, 4 injuries, and no deaths. So, doing pretty good. Armor value 7, so for the most part, you got 3 8s because of that Yeti and the werewolves.
Yeah, buddy.
But for the most part, not taking too terrible amount of damage.
And that's the games that I take damage, and it's just bad rolls. But
as we say that you have a player missing next game.
Right. That's fine.
So with that, next game you'll only have 2 in reserve. No, 1 in reserve. Yeah, you only have 1 in reserve. And then Brett, he's kind of half a player.
But he's the good half.
Yeah.
But that was a broken ribs that I had the option to apothecary, but it happened so early in the match.
Probably a good choice, especially with it being a lineman that's not too terribly critical.
Right.
And you had so much longer that somebody could have died or gotten something substantial.
And you know what? Kyle Winslow the second, he could use some playing time.
Yeah.
I knew his father.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But because the family matters. So it's funny that Brett is still your highest value player, despite you having like level 4s and stuff. So that shows either bad rolls, like you're just getting standard rolls on all your level up abilities, or you're just opting not to get those crazy stat bonuses or double abilities.
I've had 3 opportunities, but have every time passed them up.
Which could work, 'cause that keeps that team value real low.
Yeah, and I kind of pride myself with my team value being fairly low, but here's really what it goes for. And I picked up the agility on that lineman a while ago, but I go, yeah, what's it gonna do? What is an increase in an armor value would be good. Increase in strength would be good.
There it is. I found him, everybody.
It's the green number, bro.
Oh, I could look at the stats. I'm good at this, guys.
I just don't see the benefit in overall that kind of stuff. Like, that's not how I use my team, so that's not.
And he's also split on his skills. That strip ball was chosen before you got the +1 agility, so he's kind of split on his role.
Right, but I thought, what if I could dodge in and then get a strip ball?
Yeah.
So that's why I just playing with my characters, because I have quite a spread on the abilities, and once you hit like level 2, level 3, you're like, well, what the fuck do I do next? Like I hadn't planned this out any further
I haven't
than this.
seen this before.
But and you see that in the league that I was in, the previous league, where I kind of got some weird characters in there, and it's tough to keep track of everybody sometimes. But I like to try out new things, and that's what I kind of put him as, is that dodge in strip ball kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So best player on the team, probably Gear Nordic Sun.
Yeah.
Got that block dauntless standard, and then jump up, sure hands, and leap. Still haven't used that leap.
Nah, that was one of those things where I was like, yeah, leap.
And then we're like, I'm scared of leap.
I don't actually want that anymore. But to be fair, I don't really need it. And he does okay.
Tackle might have been good.
Yeah.
Probably didn't make rolls to be able to get dodge.
Nope.
Dodge would have been baller.
Would have immediately grabbed something like that.
But yeah, I don't know. Runners, what do they do? General agility? Norse?
Yeah, I think so. Let's look.
Because if it's general agility, they can get dodge.
General agility, Norse.
Yeah,
right
that was
there.
you. What
general
is he?
Agility
Runner?
For...
Is there no such thing as a runner? What is he? He's a runner.
He's a runner. They don't believe in runners. Throwers, catchers?
It's probably catcher, because that's not a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, general agility. You could have picked up dodge.
Yeah. That was, I think, a while ago. That might have been my second thing before I got jump up.
Yeah.
Jump up was that skill.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, hit that guy. He's like, okay.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And you got those 4 cheerleaders.
Big fan of cheerleaders.
And I'm sure people are looking for a loan.
Is there a cap on how much money I could have?
There is not.
No.
You can have millions and just bathe in it. That's your beer fund.
It's true. Once the sponsors go.
Yeah. So we're looking at the Crazy Eights now. Crazy Eights, they have 16 sustained KOs. 12 injuries sustained, and 1 death. So don't forget that being a bash team has its downsides.
Right.
You get bashed probably just as often.
It's true.
And I think a lot of that might be due to messed up frenzies. You get kind of pulled into stuff and
Right.
knocking your own dudes out and whatnot.
Yeah, and we did see that a lot in the beginning, where just getting a little frustrated.
So, best player is level 4 Corn Herald named Horfrock, the Slayer.
I think a little more in the throat there. There it is.
Alright, starting with Horns, Juggernaut, and Frenzies, so usually built as a blitzer kind of character. Picks up block, which I've gone over last season and maybe touched on a little bit this season. I feel like picking up block's kind of a double duty thing, but if it's your thing, it's your thing.
Yep.
Picking up tackle, awesome.
Yep, good
Awesome
choice.
pick. And then pro.
How do you feel about that?
I think pro is usually a waste. Pro, the exception for pro is I would give it to vampires and ogres.
Right.
I don't see pro as being very useful. If anybody doesn't know, pro gives you a reroll that only that player can use every single turn.
Right.
But you opt to use pro, or use a normal reroll, or use nothing.
Right.
If you opt to use pro, you have to make an immediate 4+. If you fail that, then you do not get the free reroll from pro. You do not get pro for the rest of the turn, but you can reroll with your team reroll the pro roll.
Right.
So you're basically, it comes down to you get a free reroll every turn for that character on a coin flip.
Right.
But the problem that I have with pro is that, let's say it's a failed dodge, which is a 3+, right?
Right.
Usually for this team, it's a 3+. So he
Right.
fails it, he's like, I'm a pro. He flips it and fucks it up.
Yeah.
And then now it just went from I have to use my team reroll to fix a 4+ instead of a 3+.
Right.
Which opens up all these fucking shit. Pro is interesting for instances of you blitz 2 dice and get 2 pushes.
Right.
You're like, let me pro that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it didn't work? I'll just go with the push.
Yeah.
And if it does work, you might have something good.
Yeah. I can see that as a strategy.
Mm-hmm. I use
Pro?
pro for any rolls that if it doesn't go through, I don't need to make the team
Right.
reroll to ensure it, and that if I fuck it up, it will not end my turn.
Deal. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's how I use it for ogres and vampires, because it's used to facilitate exactly that.
Right.
For Bonehead and Bloodlust.
Good.
He's got that Pit Fighter, Smash Collarbone, Strength 2. Probably had that block tackle well before that loss of strength.
Yeah, that was fairly recent. So he's a target on the pitch.
Man, with that treasury and with all the stuff that you have, I would just cut that player and get a new Pit Fighter.
I'm with that. A strength 2 player on the pitch is a hole.
Mm-hmm. You're looking at a character, you can basically save 40 on your team value by cutting him and just picking up a new Pit Fighter right now. And that block and tackle is almost useless now because of that Smash Collarbone.
He doesn't have the, right.
The tackle is kind of useful for eliminating routes,
but the block is nothing. Cause
a lot of receivers can just push him out of the way on a blitz and then move on.
Right, and that's the deal. Is it's great if you're even, where then that helps us out. But now that you're at a disadvantage, you're getting 2 die thrown at you pretty much all the time, even by a single player. Man.
Yeah, get old M-Long Cult Master out of there. Get another Pit Fighter.
Yeah, he's no longer the master of the cult.
Yep. All right, I think that's pretty good. Team's been pretty good this season.
Yeah.
Talked at great lengths about it.
But he has maxed out his cheerleaders and assistant coaches.
Bro, in the name of corn,
Right.
ate it up.
Yeah.
Looking at the non-Imperial Elites.
Non-Imperial Elites are looking at 13 KOs sustained, 12 injuries sustained, but no deaths. So, sounds like a lot of badly hurts and maybe a couple missed next game, because he doesn't have any niggling injuries, it doesn't look like. He doesn't have anything crazy. So,
that's
getting lucky on those crazy amounts of pens.
Right.
Best player, he's got 5 level 2 characters. So disregard my previous statement. Most, because 5 is the most.
Five's a lot.
And he got +1 agility on 2 players.
Yeah.
Picking up an lineman, unless you're kind of creating a catcher out of that lineman, don't know if I would have gone with the agility bonus.
I'm with that, and I think that's people go, oh, this is clearly better than anything.
But you also have to think about, and that's where this team value thing comes into, is how much are you getting out of that 110 value player now?
Right.
Like, you only have one player that's a higher team value than him, and it's a blitzer. And again, unless you're breeding that blitzer to be a receiver or a runner, don't know if I would have gone with the +1 agility on that.
That's why I turned down most of those, because I go, I'm not going to use that player in that capacity. What would be better?
And I think the +1 agility increases your team value by 40. I think it's 40, because 30 is if you get an ability or a skill not normally available. 20 is for something normal, and then I think a stat bonus of agility, movement, or armor value increases it by...
You're right, 40. I'm doing the math right now.
No. Agility and armor value, we can look at it. But
no, I'm looking at it right now. He's got a blitzer with 100 and a blitzer with 140.
So it is 40, because the 30 is for armor value and movement.
Yeah.
And, okay, so putting your team value up by more than 50% on that player for an agility that potentially isn't being used.
Right.
Like, obviously, can be a receiver. And if you build him that way, then go for it. But you also have 2 catchers who are supposed to be facilitating that role with an increased movement value and catch.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's made good decisions this whole season, so let's see if this is all part of a bigger scheme.
I like assuming so.
Picked up that kick.
Yeah.
And then looks like
I'm proud of you, son.
Block and guard.
Good stuff
For these 2. So good choice. Got a high treasury. I don't know what he's saving up for.
To keep his team value low. He's got a lot of team value.
He's got enough because I don't know if he's able to get 4 blitzers. If he is, he has enough to get a blitzer. But yeah, maybe he's just keeping his team value. I might pick up a reroll. He's looking really low on the reroll front.
Yeah, 2 is not a lot.
High also. There you go. Right there. And blitzers are 2. So yeah, he's got basically max team that he's going to get. I doubt he's going to get another thrower. But 2 is a little low on rerolls. Maybe 1 more. You're high elf, so most of your players are skilled up to where they have the automatic reroll on a lot of the stuff that you're going to do crazy, such as throwing and catching. So reroll is not too terribly necessary for the passing game for you.
Right, but at the same time, it'd be nice to have somebody on the line who can, when you got to hit, you got to hit, and if sometimes when you got to hit, it's not going to go your way.
And for those wonky dodge rolls where you don't have dodge available,
true.
If you roll 1, you may want another chance.
Right. Well, and he's reaching that point where the difference in team value with some of the low end new teams, he could get a halfling chef out on him.
Yep. He has pretty high team value right now.
And then you take 2 rerolls and you got none.
Yep.
But just thoughts.
Yep. Benefits and deficits to both sides. The Hills have the ball. He has sustained 11 KOs, 15 injuries, and 2 deaths.
Uh-oh.
Somebody here was the cause of those 2 deaths.
That's unfair. I mean, it's true, but it's unfair.
I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4. So he has 12 players, one that's missing next game, so he has exactly 11 players next game. So nobody in reserve for the next game unless he purchases food. He does have money, so he might be picking up an ogre. I foresee that. I foresee an ogre coming.
It fits his play style.
Yep,
I think
and
he
if he
needs that.
doesn't, you may have taught him to pick up an apothecary.
Yeah.
He may wait until he sees what his levels are. If he gets something substantial, he may go for the apothecary to protect the ogre. And if he doesn't get something substantial, he may go, I need another body out there.
Right. Well,
and he's at level 2. 2 level 2 stars. Sure Feet, and we'll see if this guy gets Sure Feet as well.
Probably.
Sure Feet is awesome on Snotlings.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Because
Reroll and they're going for it.
yeah, because their only movement value or movement allowance 5.
Yeah.
So you with Sure Feet, you're basically increasing that to a 7.
Right.
I would be remiss with Sure Feet not to usually take. I would do one at a time in case you fail the first one.
Right.
And then
exactly, and that's the important strategy. I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Whenever
Check to see if you use it, and then if you don't use it, go again.
Yep.
Don't automatically go straight 7.
Yeah, that. Sometimes you have to because you're just like, well, I need to get over there.
Right.
Best player appears to be Leatherface, and he has Break Tackle, which is an awesome move.
Super choice
for the ogres there. Probably pick up Break Tackle on every ogre if he doesn't get any doubles or stat increases.
Right.
And I don't like maybe a +1 agility.
Yeah.
If that flies his way.
Because he likes the ball carrier of that, so that would be a super choice as well.
And I don't know if I would take movement allowance.
No.
Unless it was already one that had a +1 agility.
Right.
And I don't think you need armor value on any of these players. Snotling,
No.
it's worthless. Ogre, it's worthless.
Right. I mean, and we saw that against a Mighty Blow Claw with the Crazy Eights, where the difference between 9 and 10 didn't make a difference.
It was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with this team. I foresee Break Tackle across the board unless he rolls something crazy.
Yep.
Break Tackle is going to make him so maneuverable.
Yeah.
And then I know people will challenge me on this, but
Okay.
no, I think I'm challenging myself. My first doubles, I would go for block, and if you get doubles again, I would go for pro.
Okay.
I was thinking about the other way, but even when I did my ogre team, I did block first.
Yeah.
You need to be able to hit.
You do need to be able to hit. That's what they're there for.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's their main thing. And then I think one character with strong arm can't go too bad.
That's a good strategy. Cool.
Is he the only player without an apothecary that has it available?
I bet.
Like, not counting necromancer teams and shit like that?
Yeah.
Stalking Dead. Stalking Dead have 14 KOs, 13 injuries, and 3 deaths.
3 deaths.
Wow. Regen's not really working for him, it appears.
Right.
Looking at this, he's got 4 level 2s. His best player, probably not the zombie, Bill fucking Murray, that's got 2 MVPs. So we're going to go with Limb Chewer. Ghoul has Blodge, along with his other ghoul, who also has Blodge.
Good standard choices.
Zmoby has Block, and Zmoby has Block. So, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
No
surprises.
Yep, didn't get the kick for Bill fucking Murray.
Right.
But that's okay.
Hey.
Block works.
I mean, Bill fucking Murray's more of a golfer, I think.
Yeah, he's a blocking son of a bitch.
Yeah, he is. A lot of rerolls.
Yeah, I like that. 5 rerolls. That's kind of my sweet spot when I get, the exception being when I run humans full lineman team.
Yeah.
My dapper gents.
Yep.
I go 6 rerolls.
Okay.
Just because they don't have any skills, so I need to be able to reroll.
It's cheap in the beginning,
and
they're cheap in the beginning. So.
Yeah, 50,000 for every player and reroll in the beginning.
Right. All right.
Yeah, this team's pretty straightforward. He's got almost enough to get another Mume. Probably odds are next game, even if he loses, he'll be able to afford the Mume.
Yep.
So, and he can have 2 of those Mumes, I believe, right?
Yeah. 2 mummies.
Yep. So, and that will kind of fill out his roster.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, he can have 4 ghouls, can't he?
You get a 4 ghouls.
Yep. So he could pick up 2 more ghouls. I don't know if I would.
I wouldn't.
I think ghouls are kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I don't like them. At least because I've never played undead, but when I played my necromantic team, I just didn't use my ghouls, honestly.
Yeah, I mean they're built to pull agility, so.
Yeah, but for me, again, I was using obviously on a tangent here talking about ghouls, but necromantic with that agility and movement allowance that werewolves had.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I just really didn't have a place for ghouls.
I hear you there.
But no, his ghouls are going to be his main run and even pass and catch if he's able to do it. But don't discount the whites. The whites with the the same the whites with the same agility can do just as much that the ghouls have. The big difference is the ghouls having the dodge to get out of places where the whites don't. So don't discount them. They can still be passers and catchers.
Okay, I won't discount them.
Fuck.
God.
Don't tell me. And then, last but definitely not least, we have the Corsairs. In 5 games, he has a level 4 player.
Yeah, what an ass bag.
Fucking Kaiser Francis Drake, the Dump King. The Dump King of the high seas.
I'm actually sad that I didn't kill that guy.
Yeah.
When I had the chance.
Corsairs. Now, I want everybody to sit down for this.
Okay.
The Corsairs have sustained 23 KOs.
Fuck.
18 injuries.
Yeah.
And 3 deaths in 5 games.
Oh.
So, this is a burning comet of a team. Like, all the star player points, and also all the dead people.
Right,
like,
right.
So,
the lightning rod.
Yeah. So,
they get everything.
Kaiser Francis Drake, the Dump King, has Catch and Nerves of Steel standard because elves are weird and crazy and cool.
Right.
Picked up Dump Off, Dodge, and Pass Block.
Pass block.
Bro. That's a scary player, man. And we've seen Master Moose that has run Pass Block on every single one of his teams. He never has a team that lacks Pass Block for very long.
Right.
He loves that ability, and he uses it to huge advantages. Either reducing the passer's ability to pass, reducing the catcher's ability to catch,
right.
or just building it to do both, neither, one, and intercept.
Yeah.
He gets those agility 5 characters, gets pass block, has catch. Ooh.
That's good.
Builds interceptors that intercept on 4+.
I like it.
It's scary.
Well, didn't he get intercepted a couple times?
He did, twice.
Yeah.
One by a snotling, one by an ogre.
That's embarrassing.
Passed low when he should have passed high, and passed high when he should have passed low.
Yeah.
Looking at a smashed angle, but honestly, reducing a catcher from 8 to 7.
Boo-hoo.
That's not the worst.
Right.
Just basically not using his thrower like that 1-star player point. But it may be because dead players.
He's a second.
He is a second, so that may be a dead thrower that came back as his son came to play.
Yeah.
Getting that blodge on that blitzer, keeping that armor value 8 pretty safe. And then another blodge for that blitzer.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Just if you wanna see how a team should be built, this is.
Yeah,
guy.
there's almost no argument here. It's the only things that could potentially be even talked about is just difference in play style, honestly. Yeah. And then picking up dodge on his lineman. Interesting choice.
As you raise a finger toward the sky.
Yeah.
I have a thought here.
And I think that's only because he plays very much. My linemen are there to close routes.
Right.
So he wants dodge instead of block, just so that he can have that extra roll attempt at getting them out of being contested.
Cool.
And I think that's why he picked that up. Because he's been dying so much, he just low treasury, just replacing players. He's still 1 player down from a full roster. So
man, he was 3 down at one point.
4
down.
4 down.
Yeah.
He has 4 loners in the same team. But he has a apothecary. Yeah.
Hey.
Invested in that.
Good choice.
But that Dump King really pumping up his team value.
Pump it up.
Bump it up. So for the teams, that's what we got. So we're gonna move over to the Hall of Fame because this video is getting super long.
Good transition though.
Yeah. I like those. I got those segues. I'm the segue king.
Yeah.
And our next topic will be this.
Right.
So most experienced player, we're looking at Gorfak from the Star 2 Smashes. We looked at him, Moglop, and in third Chesda. We kind of run in there with a couple guys kind of contesting. And Kaiser Francis Drake, the fucking dump king, is in there at 7. So
yeah, good job, man.
So a lot of high star player point characters moving around. Best scorer, Gear Nordson. Keep in mind, all of these stats in the Hall of Fame are for obviously for the entire existence of the league. So this is also keeping in consideration things from the last season.
Right. But the fun thing here is Smashers have 3 of the top 5. So he spreads it around.
Mm-hmm.
Geir Nordicsson, he
is the primary and basic. Well, you got some other guys who scored. Kveld Nordicsson and Klang Nordicsson.
Yeah, but the difference between 14 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fine. But as a runner with Dauntless, give 0 fucks.
Yeah. Best thrower, Chesda, has kind of maintained that title since she started. Morg Fang taking it second, and then we just got non-power elites coming up the standings as well. With passing, might pass up the Sunday Speedwalkers secondary.
Probably.
Best interceptors, we just got a series of intercepts. Not really that impressive. The Hills Have Ball have 2 guys with intercepts.
Oh yeah,
getting in there. Most violent player, Gorfak from the Snarl 2 Smashers, just putting people down. Helgrim the Blood King, can we guess who that is?
No, I have no idea. Does he have leathery wings?
Bloodthirster!
Bloodthirster!
He's hurting people. And then Boldoff Nordicsson, that's your werewolf.
Yeah. Where's my other werewolf?
Oh, he's right there! Puppy dog face, not my son! Sturdywood actually representing.
Yeah.
Hurting motherfuckers.
Yeah, he is.
Best runner, Geir Nordicsson.
That's what he does.
Yes, he does. Moglop way behind. And then actually Chesda.
Yeah. So not only does she run, but she throws.
Yeah. But Geir Nordicsson really showing that the running game is possible.
Right.
Best thrower, Chesda. Shocking.
Right.
Rhea Wukin actually in there with 3rd place with Brargle.
Good choice.
Yeah. Tied with the Crazy Eights.
Long yards.
Survivors. We have now only 6 players who have survived from the first game of the first season. Only 6. And 5 of them are from the Snarls 2 Smashes. The only other surviving player, or that at least that has played everyone, I don't know how they split up the survivor, is Sturdywood. So I think that is who has played every match.
Yeah. That's who hasn't had
because Chester's been around for forever. That is So Sturdywood is the only non-orc that has played every single game.
Yeah.
In the last season and a half.
That's pretty crazy.
Even Gear missed a game.
Yeah.
And I think he's missing another one, isn't he?
No.
That was somebody else.
It wasn't even. It was a training injury. It was turf toe. Because nobody can hurt him.
Yeah. That's true. Dauntless. You don't care. Best killer. It's a 4-way tie. Brett's in there.
Brett.
So is Boldoff Nordicsson. Sturdywood actually kind of a murderer.
Yeah.
But Gorfak taking the top for some reason, mostly because he probably was the
first one to get it, maybe.
Probably the earliest of both kills, or the last one, or whatever. Or maybe they do it not alphabetically. I don't know.
It could be by team. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Best receiver, we got Glomar from the Sunday Speedwalker. Sunday Speedwalker kind of eating up the entire standings on best receiver.
Yeah.
And then,
Kaiser
of course,
Francis
Kaiser Francis Drake moving up, the dump king.
Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, those don't count as passes, do they? Passing yards?
I think they count as passes.
They count as passes and passing yards.
But Francis usually never runs the ball to get a dump off. He usually catches it, then dumps it off. So,
yeah.
And that's the deal there.
Fair play.
For us, we made some little nice ones. Most deaths sustained in the league. It's a combination from the Corsairs and the Stalking Dead.
All right.
We salute you for blooding the pitch. And then it's the poor Corsairs have most KOs and most injuries. So they are most deaths, most KOs, most injuries. So the Corsairs showing what you can do with
hardest working Gravediggers.
Yes, exactly. That team is tired. Sustained, the least sustained KOs and injuries. We don't talk about deaths because a lot of teams have not suffered any deaths, so
Right.
it would be a long list. But least KOs and injuries are the Smashes. Smashes doing their part to not take any damage whatsoever.
True.
I think the armor value 9 helps that. And what we like to refer to as everything but hearts, the most inflicted of deaths, KOs, and injuries belongs to the Norse.
Thank you, sir. It's because I haven't played the Amazons yet. I'll start breaking hearts then.
Yes, the Norse team, just so we know the numbers, inflicted KOs is 16 for Norse, 19 injuries inflicted, and 3 deaths inflicted. Nobody can test him on any of those. The closest on KOs inflicted is 15 with the Snarl-Tooth Smashes, so 1 off. And injuries, the closest appears to be the Crazy Eights with 14 injuries caused. Smashes also have 2 deaths caused, so they're not too terribly behind you.
Yeah.
The injuries, they're kind of slacking, but otherwise they're 1 behind you in both other ones.
Big fan. That's how I've always wanted to play a team, and I finally got a team that's
Yep.
where it needs to be when it comes to that Mighty Blow adds a lot to the injuries.
Mhm.
Having those werewolves are just brutal.
Mhm.
And Brett now with Claw and
Yes.
Mighty Blow.
Yeah, Brett has definitely increased your killing potential.
Yeah.
The lowest on KOs in the league right now is a tie. It is not a tie. It is Tasty Action with 5 KOs caused.
6 does not equal 5.
No, it does not. I just missed the 5.
Oh, okay.
Injuries caused, the lowest is This Isn't Hockey with 2 injuries caused. And plenty of teams have not killed anybody.
Yeah.
4 of them.
Pussies.
Uh,
Why do you even play Broadbow?
And we'll mention it again, team values. Highest team value is 1,900 for the Crazy Eights, and lowest is 890 for the Hills Have the Ball, but
Right.
with an asterisk next to that because they have 2 players that they have not given level ups to.
Correct.
Which could potentially, with rolls, increase their team value by 100.
Right.
If they get 2 strength bonuses for whatever reason. They give a Snotling
Fair
strength
play.
2.
Right. That's good choice.
Hey man, you could potentially have like a strength 3 Snotling, because you can't go too higher than your stat, I don't think.
That's powerful.
Strength 3 Snotling, man. Careful!
we got a badass over here.
Alright, we got that, and now we're going to look at, for our final, is looking at what we have ahead of us. So, finished week 5, looking at week 6. Dun, dun, dun. The Mallows Mashers are going to be playing Tasty Action. They've played before, right? I think that happened.
I've lost all track.
Yeah. Well, they were going to play now, and that's going to be an interesting game. We'll see who takes that one. No tackle, man.
No tackle.
No tackle on the Mashers. I want to give my opinion that Mashers are going to take this one because they got all that block that popped up.
True.
But Tasty Action has an ogre
Yeah.
and 2 catchers.
I think that Tasty Action has the win on this
Mm-hmm.
if he uses his team effective.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the where I go 60-40 for Mallows Mashers instead, because I think there's a little less room for error, because his main goal is just going to be putting people down.
True.
And Tasty Action has to actually kind of engage and make choices, and it's going to be a difficult game for him.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the difference. I'm 60-40 Mallows Mashers. And I'm assuming you're 60-40 Hustler 1?
Yep.
Rio Wooken versus This Isn't Hockey. I think I'm 70-30 This Isn't Hockey. Only because all the bonuses that Rio Wooken have, such as claw, block, all that stuff, a lot of that is going to be absorbed and made null
because This Isn't Hockey has dodge. This Isn't Hockey is armor value 7,
Right.
and has plenty of players that have block.
Yeah.
And actually, probably more players that have block than Rhea Wukin. I'd have to go back and run the numbers, but it's pretty close. And I think that's going to be a huge difference, and I don't think Rhea Wukin is going to be able to do enough damage. The Flesh Golems might make the difference.
I think I'd like to see it, but he didn't effectively use them last match.
And that's kind of where I'm like, it's tough.
Yeah, I'll go 60-40. Same direction as you. I think 70-30 is a bit of a...
I don't take it back, but I feel strong in This Isn't Hockey's capabilities.
All right.
The Snarl-Tooth Smash is against the Sunday Speedwalkers again.
This must be a replayed.
For this one, they have definitely played. I always have to give this to the Sunday Speedwalkers, this matchup.
Yeah.
We've seen it many times. This is probably the 5th, 6th time that we've seen this matchup.
Yeah.
Those orcs, dude, they smell elves and they tend to crumble, man.
Yeah. Well, you look at it, it's a different team now. You know, the elves are a different team than they would have been in the past.
I think some mistakes have taught her.
Yeah.
Very well, and I think she's going to play more Wood Elf than ever before.
I really hope so. And having the War Dancer out, do you think that that's going to affect how she's going to play it?
I think she will play better now that because I think she's not going to be relying on the War Dancer as much and going to realize that her whole team is capable of playing.
And the last match that we watched showed just that.
Mm-hmm.
Where she had.
I didn't feel that there was too much spotlight put on those War Dancers like
Good.
normal.
Yeah, yeah.
I give it 60-40 Speedwalkers. I think the game's going to end in 3-1 Speedwalkers.
I'm with you on that one.
For Group 2, the Nordic Kneecappers versus the Stalking Dead. Man, I'm like 80-20 on you, man. And then nothing against Gimpy. Love you, Gimpy. I love the Undead. Love your team. But you're just not leveled. Your characters are not grown in the direction that they need to be able to beat the Nordic Kneecappers.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a 2-0, though. I think he's going to hold you at least in the first half.
Okay.
Enough, and he's going to make you upset enough to where you may only get 1 touchdown in the first half.
Okay. I'm with that.
I think that mummy's also going to be a little... Well, Brad will probably deal with that mummy. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'll apologize ahead of time if I kill anybody. I don't mean to.
Yeah. Gimpy, not that this is not... You're not out of the... You can win.
Yeah.
You can, and it's not too terribly tough, but this will be an uphill battle. This will probably be one of the harder games that you've played.
Yeah, just expect me to swing at you.
A lot.
Not
don't fight if you don't have to.
Yeah, not wantonly, but you know, if you put guys in front of me, I'm gonna do what I got to do to get the ball moving, and that's gonna be my goal, is to keep that ball moving as much as I can. So, and I doubt that I can get 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. This is probably the game that I'm most interested in this week. It is the non-Imperial Elites versus the Corsairs.
It's going to be super good. They finally toe-to-toe, agility.
This is going to be the most technical game all season.
Yeah.
And obviously they're going to have to play again, but I think this is the one we're going to see that's the most technical of the season so far.
What do you think, a 4-3?
I think, 5-3 in favor of Master Moose.
Yeah.
Unless Tether Grain beats the piss out of him.
Yeah.
Because he has the armor value advantage.
True.
He doesn't have a strength advantage anywhere, so he's going to have to be careful and kind of get people alone. But that armor value difference could be the big difference in this game. Because the elves are more technically savvy based on skills than the non-Imperial Elites are right now.
Right.
But the non-Imperial Elites have the armor value bonus and the player bonus.
True. I mean, and really the player bonus is it's a level 1 loner. Right?
But he's also got non-Imperial Elites have stuff in reserve, I believe.
Yeah, it's true.
So he can take a couple hits.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
He's got more dudes.
Yeah, I'm really I'm curious how this is going to go. Both fast-scoring teams, so let's watch what agility teams do against agility teams.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one is the Hills have the ball versus the Crazy Eights. I don't want this game to happen. Only because, and this is not even a scoring thing, because I think Crazy Eights are going to take it, but those Ogres could really change some stuff. I think Crazy Eights have the potential of gaining so many star player points in this one. That frenzy on those Snotlings is going to be catastrophic.
Yeah.
This is a game where the Hills have the ball are going to have to play super hard with those Snotlings, because if you don't use them effectively as fast as possible, you are going to lose them one a turn probably.
This is going to be 100% true. I think this is going to be a game that Action Jackson's gonna win, but the Hills have the ball, have an absolute ability to upset, and they'll know like 2 turns in whether or not it's possible.
And I think one big thing that the Hills have the ball have the advantage in here that Diego the Dark can capitalize on is that I think Action Jackson is going to get too much bloodlust and not focus. He's going to try to get those star player points and try to take out Snotlings, and that's going to reduce his scoring capabilities, which is going to allow the Hills have the ball to take out players and score. As long as he gives the ball to the Snotlings and just does what he can, the Crazy Eights lack a lot of tackle.
They do.
So those Snotlings are just going to be sidestepping for days.
Yep. And just if you can move an entire package of Snotlings along, I think that, I mean, like I said, it'd be an upset, but there's an absolute way to win this game. So look for it, pursue it, address it. But Action Jackson, don't play Blood Bowl. Don't play the mat. Don't play the team. You know what I mean?
I'm 70-30 for the Crazy Eights, only because it's going to have to take a lot of skill and a little bit of luck for Diego the Dark to pull this. But I think the score is going to be 1-0.
Yeah. And AJ, man, you've been playing so well. Keep it up.
Yeah, don't let this one get ahead of you. For the rest of the season, it doesn't look like any of the matchups are too crazy. No. Ooh, you get to play AJ again.
Yeah.
And then, that one's pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy there. This will be an interesting game. Speedwalkers against This Isn't Hockey. I think that'll be an interesting one. Who can outdodge who?
I like it.
And the Malow's Mashers being leveled up and playing the Snarl 2 Smashes. That might change the game a little bit.
I think it will.
It's going to be an uphill struggle for him, but I think it's going to change it a little bit. What else do we got? Again, the Elf replay over here.
That'll be fun to speculate on. Once we
After
see the
we
results
see
of the
what,
first
that'll
one,
be good. And then the last week, Tasty Action ending with Rhea Wukin. It's going to be a pretty straight. I think that's going to be a pretty fair matchup.
I'm with that.
Malow's Mashers against Snarl 2 Smashers 2 weeks in a row. Malow's Mashers, I think, is going to have to play their 9th day. Or their 9th week with the presence of mind that I have to play him again.
Yeah.
Do not lose players because he will roll me if I lose too many players in the first week. This Isn't Hockey against Sunday Speedwalkers again. That'll be interesting. You're going to be playing the High Elves in the last week of regular season. That is going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it is.
That is going to be a really tough game. That is, I almost call that one a straight split.
Yeah. It depends on where his team is.
From previous what's going on. Yep.
Yeah.
Stalking Dead versus the Hills Have the Ball. That's going to be a pretty straightforward and fair game as well. And then Corsairs versus Crazy Eights. We've seen that go horribly wrong.
Right.
But I think if he doesn't take too much damage, this is going to be this week 10 is going to be probably the best week.
I'm excited.
That's going to be
all building to that.
Yeah.
And then we cut a couple players and then do a
playoffs.
Do a playoff.
So this is going to be the time where you guys are going to want to start focusing on ensuring that you stay 4th or higher.
Right.
This is where the kind of rubber meets the road, and we're dwindling down. It's the
Right.
same amount of games left, so no more feeling out where your players are at. You really need to get this done.
True, true.
All right, and I think with that we are done, and I hope everybody enjoys the remainder of the season and has enjoyed the season thus far.
Good luck, everybody. We'll see you later.
Yep, adios.